Okay, do we start?
Yes.
He's coming, I want you there. If you can't make it, it's fine. This is what we did from last term. I don't want you to use that part as Google document. I want to have it as an Excel format. And here we have different stocks. And as we have different stocks, we would like to see what is happening to these stocks and what is happening to different markets. One is the Dow Jones Industrial Average. The other is the Nasdaq index. It's from the beginning of this previous year all the way up to May. It's a spring term. You have the data, and then from the data as values, we evaluate the percentages. We keep things on the same side. Then we make different graphs. And from the different graphs, we have something to say. I finish this part, and I go to do whatever I want to do today. I want to get data. And I'll go to Yahoo Finance and get data. Last time I gave you the data from Apple and Microsoft. Now I want to go to different other corporations. And I want to go on and get the data for IBM. IBM is an interesting corporation. It went through big changes. During the last month, you have red. During the last 6 months, you have green. For 1 year, you have green. Overall, the period, you see what is happening. The other corporation that I want to take in Yahoo Finance is also a company that used to be in the Dow Jones Industrial Average, and it was kicked out. And this is a very interesting corporation. Last year, one of my students bought stocks from that corporation, and that's General Electric. General Electric for the last month is green. For the last year is green. For all the period, you see something interesting. It went all the way up to $55 and then dropped and now is into $9. And it goes through a change. The question is how much of a recovery that corporation would go. I want to see and compare these two different companies, and I want to take data. I would like to take data from the beginning of the year to now, or you want to have for 1 year? In other words, do you want to include last end of December and November or not? Dan, what do you want to do?
Yeah, 1 year.
Dan wants 1 year, so we click for 1 year. 1 year done, 1 year apply, download for General Electric for 1 year. IBM, same period. I want data for 1 year, done, apply, download. Automatically, I have two files here, General Electric and IBM. You see that I used the General Electric before. I go and I open the file and I look at the time period. Today is the 27th of November, right? I go 1 year back. Do I have the right data point? I have the right data point. Do I get them all the way up to yesterday? I did. I take the data, I copy, I have a new file that is a workbook, and I put my data here. I will ask you also to do candlestick graph and analysis. Not today. Today I want to focus on what is happening based upon the closing date. Closing data. I copy it and I paste it. This is my General Electric. Then I go and I get the IBM data. I copy it, I paste it. This is my IBM data. I don't need this file. I don't need this file. I need this file. I want to see clearly what is happening. Step 1. I take all of my data and I format it based upon what I have here. I may not want to see the pennies. I will have 1 decimal point. I want to see how the stock is fluctuating. I take my data and I graph them. I need to see how these two are changing. You have a professor who is picky. He wants his graph to be with color. Don't give me color like extremely crazy color. I want this to be small. I want this to be formatted. And I want the graph to be in a different part. Here you have your data. Next to your data, I want to have another spreadsheet that you will have the same thing, that you will give me the percent analysis. And then I want to have another one that you're going to have your graphs. You have your data and you take it from here. One thing I would suggest, change also the fonts. Put it in a font type that probably you may want to use, that they would indicate that is your work and your preference. Take that graph from here and put it in your graphs. How you copy and paste the graph is important. I paste the graph. As I paste the graph, I have 3 different options to paste the graph. If I have a different option to paste the graph, I can be able to do or not do certain things with that particular graph. Go to YouTube and find out more about it. This is what I have. I want to take it and paste it in such a way that I will do 2 things. In one case, I would like to focus only on IBM. In the other case, I would like to focus only in General Electric. In a third case, I want to see them together. If I want to focus in this part, one thing I want to do is I go here and I see how much is the lowest value, 100.7, 107.6. Therefore, I will adjust my axis. I will not start from 0, but I will start from something that would give me information of what is happening. I will go here, I'll do the same thing. The lowest is 6.5. I will take the axis, I will format it, and I will start from 6. This allows me to see what is happening with the variability of both cases. If I want to see them together, what I need to do is take one and put it in a secondary axis. And as I have in the secondary axis, I want to adjust the scale exactly the same way I will have it here. So for the small scale, I will start from 6. And from the large scale, I will start from 100.05. I look at my graph and I see that probably I don't want to be bothered with the decimal point. I go to my data and I adjust my format. I take 1 off from my data. The numbers don't look great, but here the graph looks better. And what you already know is how you will put in these graphs trend lines and what is the meaning of that particular trend line. And we already did that last period. Also yesterday, the computer was crashing on me. Because of that, I don't want to lose my data. I will go on and I will save my data. I'm working for IBM and I'm working for General Electric, and I do it the 27th of November. I'm saving the file, and if anything happens, always I will have the work done. What do I want to do? I want to do some analysis. So I will put extra columns at the beginning. And in these extra columns, I want to see several things. I want to find what is the average price. And I want to find what is the standard deviation. And I want to find a few other things, like what is the variance. And I want to find what is a covariance. And I want to find what is a correlation. And I want to do two things. First, I want to use the formulas that I have from Excel. So I'll go to my formulas and I'll use my statistical formulas. I want to know what is the average for that particular price. And I'll have the average. Actually, the average is $9.41. I want to know what is the standard deviation. And if I go to look at the standard deviation, I want to look at the standard deviation. I have two formulas for standard deviation. One is standard deviation of a population, and the other standard deviation for the sample. Your book is using the standard deviation of the population. I will use both, and I would like to see what is happening in both cases. So I will use the standard deviation of the population. I'll have it here for all of my data, and I'll get my standard deviation of the population. I will specify this is the standard deviation of the population. And as I have that data from here, I will go and I will put the standard deviation of a sample. And I will have the variance of the population. I will go and I will see, is the standard deviation of the sample any different of the standard deviation of the population? And what is the standard deviation of the sample? I want you to be more curious than I am. Do you see the numbers? These numbers need to be formatted. Are these numbers dollars or not? And if you don't know, you don't put the format. If you know, you put the format. Then I want to put the information about the variance. For this case, I'll use just the variance of the population. Variance of the population. I'll take it and I'll have it. And I would ask you to tell me if the variance and the standard deviation are related or not. And I want to see what is covariance. Covariance is when two things are related. And when two things are related, I will put it for two things. Covariance and correlation is when two things are related. So I'll put them in a space that they will relate. General Electric and IBM. I'll go into the formula. I'll go into statistical formula. I will go on and find out what is covariance. Covariance of the population. Covariance of the population says how General Electric changes together with IBM. Before I click OK, I check to see, do I have exactly the same ranges? And if I do, I click OK. And this is my covariance. And I want to find out what is correlation. I go to my formula and I ask my statistical formula to look at the correlation. Correlation. Again, it takes two things: General Electric and IBM. Do I have exactly the same rows and different columns? Yes. I click it here and I have the numbers for these two. I want whatever I calculated for General Electric to be for IBM. I look at the information here and I specify what it is, so I would have exactly the same case, correlation. And here is covariance. Covariance I calculated for the population, not for the sample. So far I didn't do anything that requires my thinking. I used ready-made formulas and ready-made information so I see what is happening. And I want to do exactly the same thing for a different view of information. I'll take the first column and I go and I paste it. I take my first column and go, I paste them to the next sheet, because I want here to organize my information as percent changes. What I have, I would like to think about General Electric and IBM. I want to think about General Electric and IBM. But as I want to think about General Electric and IBM, now I don't want to think about their prices, but I want to think about the percent change of the prices, how things change. And I go on and I ask question in money. What is going on between 2 days? Before I was focusing on 1 day. Now I want to focus on 2 days. What is happening between the 27th and 28th of the month? And Imani is a businesswoman. She doesn't care about statistics. But what she cares is the price of that stock that she has to invest going up or going down, right? And that's what she does. She's here and she wants to go and look at her numbers. These $7 related to this $7, is it the same or it's different? This $7 is the same or different?
I think it's the same.
This $7 is the same or different? This is B12 and this is B11. We go here and we take data. Do you see it, what I have? So what do I have? I have go to the previous seat data. That's the way I named it. Go to data and take whatever is in B12 and subtract the 11. And Imani says that from one day to the other, she goes up 28 cents, close to 30 cents. And she wants to see what is happening with the IBM. In IBM, she goes up close to $3. But IBM and General Electric have stocks value at different case, so she wants to make equivalent comparison. As a result, she doesn't want to look at how much she goes up as a dollar, but she wants to compare that increase to what was the price the previous day. She wants to compare, divide what is the price of the previous day. And this part now is not a dollar, is a percentage. And she wants to see what's happening with the percentage. So she knows that General Electric goes up 4%. IBM goes up 2%. But in IBM, she makes more money than she makes with General Electric. But if she takes the same sum of money and she puts that money more into General Electric, she will make more overall in General Electric than IBM. Is this clear? Good. This is what you need to know so you will be able to move into finance. If you don't get that stuff, drop it. Yes?
Can you do that over again, percentage part?
You have two guys next to you that are lost. Let them to be lost. Then you have two other guys further up, Imani and Bogdan. Okay, this is what is the meaning of a percentage. Percentage is a comparison. You compare first the difference by subtraction, staying at the same format, same concept. That is, what do you compare? Dollars and dollars, the result is dollars. Pounds and pounds, the result is pounds. You see if you go up or if you go down, if it's positive or if it's negative. But if you compare two different things, then you need to have relative comparison. Every day I check my weight. Every day my mother-in-law checks her weight. But I'm 200 pounds and she is 100 pounds. So if we both increase or decrease 1 pound, we do not have the same increase in percentages. Clear? We move on. If we understand the concept once, then we put it in a formula. If we put it in a formula, we can have it for all the formulas further down. The important point I want to know here is, guys, can you stop talking? It is this part here. I would like to format it in such a way that would give me different case. What do I want to see? I want to format the percentages in such a way that I will kill it. Alignment, font, borders, fill, protection. Okay, I would leave it like this, but I prefer if it's red, if it's negative, to be red. What do you have here? Now I want to have a comparison between two, I want to have a comparison between 2 days. And if I keep everything proportional, since you work with Excel and I don't want you to work too many hours to do the same stuff, I want you to keep everything proportional. I want all that information that you have before to take it now and apply it for here. But now, these two things are not dollars, these are percentages. And you give the particular value that you have. You want to check the ranges. And if you check the ranges, you see that now you have one cell less. If you have one cell less, you make the adjustment. If you have one cell less, you make an adjustment. If you have one cell less, you make an adjustment. If you have cells less, you make an adjustment. If you have cell less, you make an adjustment. And after you have everything adjusted, you take whatever is from here. Did you adjust it? Yes. Did you adjust it? Yes. Did you adjust this? No. I need to make the adjustment. Double check everything. And if I double check everything, I go on to the other part, and I need to have things done and clear. Same way I look at the graphs with the price, I want to see the graphs with the percent changes. I will take the information from here and I will make a graph. I will take the case and I will see the same graph. What do I have? How things change. I will take the graph out from here. I'll take the graph out of here, I'm going to cut it. I'm going to place it where my graphs are, so I can see what is happening here in my graphs. I have the two graphs together, and I will have one graph at the time. Before I do that, I need to make all the adjustments I want to have here. I will make the colors, and I focus on you how fast and how accurate you do these things. I take the information from the axis, you format it, you go to the labels and you put it low, so it can be here low. You have the axis. If you have the axis, it's nice if you can put it in the same way you have them in the other part. And now you have how things change together. What do we want to do? We want to see how things change separately. We copy that and we paste it. We paste it once and we paste it twice. I have my graphs. I want to have good organization. I take this here and I take the others in such a way that I'll see one next to the other. What else do I need to do? From here, I need to eliminate General Electric. From here, I need to eliminate IBM. And I have the two graphs, one next to the other. In one, I see what's happening to the price. In the other, I see how they change. And I have a question. Do I need both graphs or not? And what I get in one graph and what do I get in another graph? In the first graph, I get a trend. In the second graph, I don't get a trend, but I see how much I have a change. But also, what is important is in my second graph, I get some information that is very important. What is important? If I look at the prices, the average price actually is meaningless, because what is important is not what is the average price, but what is the trend. But when I look at the percent change, what is the average percent change is what I expect to get as a return. And that's extremely important. Which means these two pieces of information, to me, are very important. I want to focus on them, because that says that for that particular year, General Electric gives me more returns than IBM. How much more? Dito is going to make a comparison. How much more General Electric gives me returns from IBM? If I want to compare with IBM, I will divide General Electric with IBM. This is a clear number. This is not a percentage. This is not a percentage. This is a clear number. That clear number says that IBM does not give me as much as General Electric. And General Electric gives me almost 4 times more than IBM. If I want to do exactly the opposite, I will make the division the other way around. I'll divide General IBM with General Electric. That is not a percentage, we said, because we have percentage divided with a percentage. That's a general number. If this is a general number, I'll have it here. What do I need to have? I need to focus on these relations. It's exactly the same. One is the other side of the other. What these relations are telling me. That IBM is a quarter of what I will get in General Electric, and General Electric is about 4 times more than the other. Is any relationship between the quarter and 4? Or not? Yeah, one is the inverse of the other. And exactly this is what I have here. I know that. I calculated. I don't want anybody to see it. I hide it in a way that I know that it's there, but someone that comes and look at it doesn't see it. Why do I need to know that? Because I need to know to make a comparison right away. What is happening? What is going up and what is going down? And I want to see how the things are related. What do I see here? I see one day that both stocks go up. I see the next day one stock goes up, but the other goes down. I see the following day the first stock goes down, but the second goes up. And I see another day that both stocks go down. These are all possible ways that things can go. Both they can go up, both they can go down. One can go up and the other would go down, the other would go up and the first is going to go down. Is this clear? And I want to see for all the period that I'm looking at what is going on. Does it make sense? Because if I want to see how things work together, this is what I want to do. Like what? My body there was lost before. Someone else got it. The other one is lost also but didn't say it. How do we work as a team? If you don't say that you are lost, you are completely lost. If you say that you are lost, then you try to team with someone who is doing better. Why the person who is doing better wants to help you? Because if the person who is doing better wants to help you, finds out if he really knows it, and then he knows it better, or he doesn't know it. And if he doesn't know it, they go to someone else to get it. At the end, we move all up together. This is not only when we study together, this is also when we do finance together. It's the same principle. And if it is the same principle, I want to see how all that stuff is working together. I mark all of my data, and I want to graph them. And if I want to graph them, I have different graphs. Which graph do I select? Do I select this graph? Or this graph? And what is each one of the graphs that I have? Do I want this graph here as I have? Do I want this graph? I had that graph that tells me in time how things change. That tells me how things are in a distribution. And that tells me something else. We don't have time. I will go on and graph these things together. And as I graph these things together, I'll have the graph here. The first column is the horizontal line. The second column is the vertical line. I take that and I cut it and I bring it to my graphs. I have the two things together and I have the graph here. And I will go back to my data and I will say, okay, let's take this data here. What is this? The changes of General Electric. I want to graph them. How can I graph them? I click this part here. And this part is my G. I take it, I cut it from here, I go to my graphs, and I put what is happening with General Electric. I go back, and I look at my other percent changes. That's IBM. I want to graph it, and I want to see how I will graph it. I'll take this, and this is IBM. I'll take the graph, I'll take it out of here, and I will put it down here. And I'll go to the first graph that I have. I said all the time, I want your work to look professional. Professional means that I do not change the colors. I keep exactly the same colors. Professional means that I take the axes and I put them on the side as labels, so I can see exactly what is happening with my data. And in that particular case, I want to summarize my data. I summarize my data looking at the trend line and putting the R square of that particular line. And when I have the R square of that particular line, I don't want to have the colors of the lines to be, I keep it like this. Very soon, I click the other part and I make them also professional. What do I have? What do I have now? I have 9 graphs that give me good summarization of my data. And I want to say what is happening with General Electric and IBM for the last year. Here I have the distribution of the percent changes. And I want to ask a question. Why the distribution here is different than what I have here? If I want to look at these two graphs, can I use some other graphs to help me out? And if I do, I want to put them in an appropriate way. This is IBM. I'll have them here. This is General Electric. I'll put it here. I said this is IBM, right? I want to be with a color more or less that I have in IBM. That's not the color. I'll make it more intense. And now, I would like to see what is going on, and the time is up. If the time is up, what do I need to do?
Save it.
I save it, and I keep it. And I want you to go on and practice it. So what do I want you to do as practice? I want you to learn how to make these graphs for particular periods. If you have the graph and you change the period, the graph is going to be different. The period can be expanded or can be shrinked. I want you to know what you are going to do. If you have, instead of 2 stocks, 3 stocks, 4 stocks, is significantly more work or proportionally is less work? In other words, if I give you 3 stocks, 4 stocks, like the part that I gave you from last year, the final exam that they had to do, they had to do 4 stocks. Is it much more work to make the calculations or not? What do you think? It's less work because you know what you do, you drag it and you have it done. What do I want you to tell me? We don't see you again, right? We have Thanksgiving. What do I want you to tell me by Monday? Do you know these concepts? You took a class in math, you took a class in statistics. You didn't take a class in statistics, you have to take it. Is any way you can go on and find out what these things are. My daughter said, Dad, I'm gonna go to Wikipedia. Or I'll go to Khan Academy. Or to both. And I will check my book and see what is happening. And by Monday, I want to know that stuff. Then, if I know that stuff by Monday, then by Wednesday, next week, I would learn another idea. What is the meaning of regression? And I would like you to figure out what is a regression. And if we know that, we will move on and have it done. Is this clear? Good. Turn this off.